Good morning, y'all. We're live for another episode of the Falcons Podcast. It is Wednesday morning. We are on YouTube. We're going to go to, let's go to Facebook. Then we'll roll the dice here. That's Atlanta Falcons on SI. Let's go over to X since I forgot to make a post on that. We'll stream to Scout Kennedy on X, and then we'll get rolling here. At least I think we're going to. I think I forgot to actually click the X. So let's click that one and get it started. And we will get going. And we're good to go. Welcome in, everybody. This is the Falcons Podcast on Wednesday morning. My name is Scott Kennedy. You probably know that by now if you're in here this early. Nick will not be joining me. He's still finishing up his move. He is flying to Seattle. I sent him a link just in case, so I didn't have to answer the phone in the middle of the stream like we did on Monday Night Football. It's been a whirlwind week. We play on Monday, and then yesterday I'm doing campus tours with my son, drove over to the University of Alabama and back. That took up a lot of days, so yesterday is kind of a blank. And going somewhere today. Can you tell where I'm going based on the colors I'm wearing today? I wore my colors. I wore a dark red, maroon, crimson shirt. I wore my red Falcon shirt to Georgia on Monday, and I'm wearing orange and blue today, little burnt orange and navy blue today. So you can probably figure out where we're going today. Where we're going today with this show, I want to finish up. I know y'all, since the game was just 2 days ago, probably still want to talk a little bit about Falcons Bills, but human nature is we want to look forward. And in going through NFL.com's power rankings, I think it's Eric Edholm was writing those up, and he finished up what he had to say is the Falcons season trajectory has changed. I agree. You agree? If we go back to where Carolina was, that game was so mind-blowing that you can picture if they show up like this, oh my God, they're 3-14. But I think they've done a great job the last 2 weeks of proving that game was an aberration. It happens. They're 3-2. They're in good shape. They've beaten two teams that played in the championship games last year. The Bills were the participant in the AFC Championship. The Commanders were a participant in the NFC Championship. Now, were they at full strength? No. Were the Falcons at full strength? No. That's regular season football. That happens. And despite the fact that the announcers waxed poetic about the gutsy, beat-up Bills on Sunday night and decimated by injuries, the Falcons were just as, if not more, injured than the Buffalo Bills. They're about to face another team that's been hit hard by injuries, the San Francisco 49ers. Now, Brock Purdy is questionable. Mac Jones has been playing admirably. He's been playing okay. But with Fred Warner out, and even if Brock Purdy comes back, if he's not 100% and is 100% with his timing, the line on this one, I believe, is 2.5 in favor of San Francisco, which is the home field advantage, the travel and everything. Short week for the Atlanta Falcons, but I think the Atlanta Falcons have every reason to believe that they can go in and win this game. I want to hit on PFF again real quick. Just, we like to try and use them as a resource. You can't see everything, so you're like, okay, they've got a legion of guys out there scouting games. And I'll hit on this, and then we'll say some hellos. Like, what do they have to say about the Falcons? Because I've told you, I don't necessarily mind their numerical rankings. Okay, this was the best player. This was the second best player. This was the third best player. Those type of rankings. But their grades for the Atlanta Falcons are way overly harsh, and they end up not comparing very well to the rest of the NFL. Let me use this for an example. Bijan Robinson, I bet he wins some awards this week. He comes out of this week with 238 yards and was it one touchdown, and, just arguably one of the best performances he's had in an Atlanta Falcons uniform, which is saying something. All of a sudden, he's getting MVP talk, which we said would probably happen. Talk of MVP. Now, Baker Mayfield's probably still the favorite right now, and that's okay. I said Bijan should be in the conversation, and he is. Let's take a look at what PFF ranked the Atlanta Falcons. They ranked, let me get my glasses. Bijan Robinson, for his effort against the Buffalo Bills, a 70.1. All right, well, in a vacuum, that doesn't mean anything. What's that mean, Scott? 70.1. And a 70.1 means if he had the same performance for 17 games and finished the season with a 70.1, he would be right now the 21st ranked running back in the NFL. Yes, 21st ranked running back in the NFL if he had 17 games like he did last Monday against the Buffalo Bills. sometimes you got to reevaluate what you're doing because what you're doing doesn't pass every other checks and balance test that we have in this world. 21st. Bijan Robinson's effort would have made him the 21st best running back in the NFL. Yeah, I disagree with what you're doing over there right now, guys. Get it, fix it, please. We love your service. We love looking at it. We love stats, but it's not right now. Well, it's subjective. It can be subjective and still be wrong. Right now, it's wrong. It's not working right. Let's get that fixed. We like to say hello to everybody. We go live usually Monday and Wednesday, but we change it up every so often. And I want to say hello to some folks here. This one of the reasons we go live. One of our great members, you can tell he's got that bird right now. It shows like a little token when I show you on the screen, but he gets the bird in here. He says, John Harrell, he says, I have confidence in the defense and Bijan. Me too. And that wins you a lot of games. Defense and a running game. We talked a lot about what Bijan's doing is obvious. What the defense doing on the whole is obvious, but we kind of expect that from Bijan to a certain extent. Oh, yeah, we're spoiled, but he is a special player. And you broke all the rules by drafting him number 8 in the top 10 when it was inexcusable, according to analytics writer, I will not say expert, analytics writer Seth Walder over at ESPN. It was an inexcusable mistake for this team to draft Bijan Robinson. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. It was, I think he may have said unexplainable because I said it's actually pretty easily explainable for the way this team is set up. But the defense, my goodness, the defense, we waxed poetic Monday night for a long time about what they're doing. And it's not just the pure numbers, it's the in-game adjustments that they can make. The first drive the Bills had in the first half, hot knife through butter, went right down and scored. Tightened up, didn't score again. Second half opens up. They make some adjustments. They hand the ball off. The Falcons are playing a little bit softer. And hot knife through butter, running game right through them. They score. This is a game, it could have been 28-7. All of a sudden now it's 21-14. Never scored again. The in-game adjustments for this team and the personnel movement, because this is a deep team. They are deep on defense. Is impressive. So thank you, John. Glad you're here today. James, good to see you as well. Rusty hadn't quite gotten over it. I'm going to go back to back on you on Rusty because there's a good question in here next that I saw already when I was coming into the room. It says, Monday night was great. I still have a slight stench from week 3 in Carolina. If we can win in San Francisco on Sunday night, the stench will be gone. I need to see consistency before I'm fully sold. And that's understandable. Someone comes in and he was giving me hell in the comments and stuff. Next time you do a collab with another, show a little faith in your team. That's not what I do here. I'm not here to cheerlead. 2, what I say has absolutely nothing to do with what happens on the field. And 3, are you new here? What part of Falcons and faith have ever gone hand in hand? Come on, man. Yes, even in that game as the Falcons are dominating you, we all have it. That no moment. Dre didn't score. Crap. I like the effort. I'm not going to be mad about that, but oh no. Missed a field goal. Oh God. Of course he missed a field goal. 33-yard field goal to ice the game. He's going to miss it. I know he's going to miss it. It's part of being a Falcons fan, and it's up to them to change the way we feel about this team. Yes, there is a lot of, I don't mean to belittle this term, but there's a lot of PTSD with being a Falcons fan. There just is, especially if you're older than, you didn't grow up in the Matt Ryan era. If you grew up in the Matt Ryan era, your expectations are probably a little bit different than someone who grew up in the Marion Campbell era, like I did in the 80s. Type in Atlanta Football Reference into a Google search, go there, and it'll show you all of the records for the Atlanta Falcons through all the years. And remember, I grew up in the 80s. From 1980 to 1989, I was 7 years old to 16 years old. Those are some formidable years. Go look. Well, that was a long time ago. Yeah, but this last decade has been very similar. So it's okay, Rusty. You're allowed to be a little apprehensive. We all are. We're hopeful, though. Enjoy it. This is a fun run that the Falcons are on right now. But he says, at what point do we become concerned about Bijan's usage rate? We need him fresh for January if we're going to make the playoffs. Well, Rusty, I think that's a good question. And at the beginning of the season, we harped on what do we want to see from Bijan Robinson? Definitely not more touches, maybe even less touches, but more efficiency. And that's still what you're seeing. Check a box score from the game. And even though, Bijan was huffing and puffing, it was because he went for almost 250 yards. It wasn't because he was being used too much. I check a box score. He had 19 carries. Okay, well, that's not crazy. He had 6 receptions. So he had 25 touches, okay? 25 touches is a lot, but it's not outrageous. 25 times 17, not 7, you moron. 25 times 17 is probably 425. That'd be a lot. 25 times 17 is 425. That'd be a lot, but he's not doing that every time. So I think to this point, coming into this game, he was behind. And part of that had to do with Carolina. He was behind, like 1 full touch a game behind. So it was maybe 2 touches behind, because I think he was just over 300, a pace for 300 touches. And 320 touches. And last year he had 360 touches. So he was actually behind his pace for last year. This accelerated it so that he was on a similar pace to last year. Now, 360 touches would be top 5 again, but it's not, it's top 5. It's not 100 more touches. Jonathan Taylor, I think in 2022, he led the league in rushing and touches by like 100. I mean, he blew everybody away. He had close to 2,000 yards, and he was up on rushing yards by like 500 yards to the next closest guy. There may have been one person, but then the gap was big. I'm not concerned with Bijan's usage yet. I don't. Again, we talk about, I don't necessarily want to see 25 touches a game. That's still not outrageous. That's not outrageous. And it's not like they were ignoring Tyler. Tyler still got 11 touches. That's a pretty good balance, if you ask me. And you commented on my show, so you kind of did ask me. So I'm not overly concerned about it. Was he a little gassed? Probably. That's because he was out there running wind sprints, not because he was taking too much of a beating out there. So it's a great question, because I looked it up immediately too. All right, we saw he was a little gassed out there. Did they overuse him? 25 touches. How many did Tyler get? He got 11. Okay. I think that's pretty good load management for that type of game. I think that was still pretty good load management. Psalm, good to see you. You're out in California, aren't you? In Southern California, though, aren't you out in kind of where I used to live? So let me know, because it's funny, Braves fans, everybody hacks on the South for everything. That's why, do SEC teams claim an entire conference championship as the conference? Yes, we do. You know why? You see how the rest of the world portrays the South. So you're going to make an enemy of us. You're going to make an enemy of all of us. So the Atlanta Braves move to the perimeter, and it makes national news for getting hell for being, the Marietta Braves. San Francisco is like an hour on a good day out of San Francisco. They're in Santa Clara. The New York Giants and New York Jets aren't even in New York. Anyway, I think you're in Southern California. It's great to see you. Brian F, Big Dude F. Falcons look good this week. Yes, they did. Another thing, we talk about the defense. Yeah, the Falcons are, even after 290 yards, some of it were garbage time yards, but other teams give up garbage time yards too. So all that balances out. They're still number 1 in total defense. And they're right there, top 2 with the Denver Broncos and all of the advanced metrics after 6 weeks, 5 games for the Falcons, 6 for about everybody else. But all that is done on a per game basis. But did you see where the offense has ended up? The Falcons offense in total yards is now number 2 at 378 yards per game. The Atlanta Falcons have the number 2 offense. They were 6 last year now. They were 6. So we talked about, do we think this team can still be a top 10 offense? Yes, but they need to get better at scoring. Some of the games haven't necessarily necessitated. How's that for the Department of Redundancy department? Big scores. Minnesota Vikings control the game, run the ball. You don't necessarily need to put up 40 on those guys. Manage the game. Game management is important. Falcons manage this game against the Bills pretty well. Winning the turnover battle by not putting the ball, in harm's way is a big part of that. Not taking unnecessary risks when your defense is playing that good. Now, the other side of that is they're only scoring 20 points per game, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 32 minus 6 plus 1 is 27. 27th in the NFL. So they've got the number 2 offense at moving the ball, and they're 27th in scoring. And part of that is field goal kicking. We know we've seen the Falcons either miss field goals or pass up on field goals. 4th and 3, 50-yard field goal indoors to go up 24-7. That's an automatic call for someone who has confidence in the kicking game. There's 3 points. Block field goal, there's 3 more points. That's 6 points right there in that game that you left on the field. Not even talking about what could have happened with Drake in that game. There's 9 points at least. If you take those 6 points and go from 20 to 6, 26 scoring is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You're top 10 in scoring as well. So part of it looks fairly easy to fix, but the Falcons are number 2 in total offense right now and number 1 in total defense right now. And you know who looks a lot like that right now is the San Francisco 49ers do as well. They are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in total offense, but they're not scoring either. They're just ahead 0.8 of a point. 20.8 points per game puts them 27, 26, 25, 24, 24th, despite having a top 10 team moving the ball. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they are not quite as good. They're middle of the pack on defensive side of the ball, but they are only giving up 21.3 points per game, which is still close to middle of the pack. It's about 14th. So, and the Falcons defense right now has moved to 20.0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they're now number 7 in scoring. That's gone down after you give up 14 to your average went down. And we all know that 30 was not all on the defense. So the number 1 defense feels more legit. The number 1 offense still feels like, there's points being left on the board out there. So something to keep an eye on. Greg coming in with a super chat. Thank you, Greg, double G. He says, with as bad as the Bills are allowing big runs, I'm surprised Carter didn't get a catch or two to see if he could pop one. Yeah, I never really got that, hey, it would be nice to see him in here vibe. And part of that is if Bijan needs a break, Tyler is certainly capable of breaking a big one. I mean, his touchdown run was 21 yards, 22 yards. And if he had more distance, he would have gone farther. So Nathan Carter, we like him. But I can't think of a time where I would want the ball, if I'm running the ball in someone else's hands from a standard running back position. Now jet sweeps or gadget plays is different, where I would want the ball in someone else's hands other than Tyler and Bijan. But yeah, Nathan's got some breakaway speed, and the Falcons were gashing them on the run. Golly, what the Buffalo Bills were 28th in run defense. I bet that's gone down. Where are they now after facing the Atlanta Falcons? The Buffalo Bills rushing defense is now 30th at 158, and they are closer to DFL, dead frickin' last, than they are to moving up. So they're closer to the Dolphins at 32 than they are the Cowboys at 29. So the Bills have some problems that they need to get worked out for sure, but they're still definitely a dangerous team. Thank you for the support, my friend. Hope you are doing well. Let's see here. Want to come down and say hello to some folks again as well. We said hello to Brian Nando. I feel like we haven't seen Nando in a while. Nando Barrington, Grand Rising, Scott, and Nick. This run-centric ratio of Zach Robinson calling plays is a winning formula. Algier needs 15 carries. Getting back to the discussion on the workload, Algier needs 15 carries, and the defense is leading the charge. 4 sacks per game average. 17 times 4, that's 28 in carry. Are they on pace for 68 sacks? I think that's just this last game. But yeah, that would be a record. That'd be pretty close to a record. The problem is the Denver Broncos have faced some odd quarterback play. So they got Cam Ward, I think, on his first game and sacked him like 10 times. And then last week against Justin Fields, we know Justin Fields, all they need now is Caleb Williams. We know Justin Fields is fully capable of taking a sack. I think they sacked him 9 times. I told the guys on the Mile High Huddle podcast, you need to use your Ferris Bueller day off on that one. 9 times. I don't remember him getting sacked 9 times. Sacks. The Denver Broncos have 30 sacks through 6 games. That's absurd. I'm not sure the Falcons have broken 30 sacks, but once in the last 5 years. 30 sacks. So, but the Falcons are up there. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't have to scroll. I don't have to spin that thing like the big wheel on The Price is Right. See how many times I can get it around to get to the scroll down to find the Falcons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 in sacks with 14. Yes, please. I'll take it. You tell me you're going to give me the number 10 sack team in the NFL, I'll take it right now. Absolutely. And I think we all know some of those pressures. Attaboy, spill your coffee everywhere. Some of those pressures, and this happens for everybody, though. We get tunnel vision. We're like, oh, man, if we'd only made that field goal, other teams miss opportunities too. But I think we've seen the pressures there, and they're legit pressures. They put Josh Allen under duress. That wasn't just – I've said sometimes the pressure rate is kind of a BS stat because of the way they calculate pressures. You can tell, the eyeballs will tell you if the quarterback is under duress. Josh Allen was under duress, and he Houdini'd some of those sacks that could have been. So I think, the Falcons pass rush is absolutely heading in the right direction. And some is, and it's only going to get better with those young guys. It's only going to get better. And it's not just the young guys on the edge, the young guys in the center too. Dorless didn't necessarily have his best game this time, but we know he can get penetration. Zach Harrison is playing out of his mind. Rook is getting great penetration as well. So it should get better. And sounds like you're going to the 49ers game. Good. Another primetime game Sunday night. That will be a lot of fun. Sam, great to see you. I'm ready to turn the page to San Francisco. We basked in the Minnesota game too long and then wet the bed versus Carolina as a result. I'm with you on this. I caught myself feeling, I'm like, this feels a little like deja vu. So, I've told y'all, Pro Football Reference is my favorite site as far as looking stuff up. I've had this feeling before, we're so exciting after a win. Like when? Okay, the Falcons in week 7 in 2023 under Arthur Smith, they go to Tampa Bay. They take first place in the lead. They win in Tampa 16-3. And I think they left like 14 points on the field that game. That was one where they had 2 fumbles within the 5-yard line. Dominated that game pretty well. And ended up being close. Moved to 4-3. Feels like you're on your way. And I remember being really excited about the direction of the team after that game. All right. Next week, they go to, after that, at Tennessee Titans with Will Levis making his first start in his career. And they were never competitive in that game. Will Harris's helmet is in the Hall of Fame. They come home. They're facing, I don't even remember the kid's name that started. He was making his first start ever. Jaron Allen, was he BYU or somebody? I don't even remember. The Falcons knocked him out in the first quarter, and here comes Josh Dobbs, and you lose that game at home, 31-28. Then you go to Arizona, and yes, Kyler Murray is making his first start in over a year, and you lost that game. And that was when I said it was 4-6. You lose 3 games against an historically easy schedule. That bye week, that was when we came on here. I said Arthur Smith is gone. You should have been left in Arizona. This is year 3. He's fired. Last year, 2024, I remember feeling this way after the Tampa Bay game. You win that game 5-3. It was a good bounce back against Seattle. You swept their 5-3. Then they beat the Dallas Cowboys. They're 6-3. I remember feeling that. And then injuries happen, you lose to the Saints, and then you look awful against the Broncos and you never really recover. So yes, Sam, We can bask in it a little bit, but I do remember feeling we've had these conversations before, going back to have a little more faith in your team. Was that Mario? Mario, come on, man. We can be excited, we can be hopeful, but there are reasons in the back of your mind to think, okay, Lucy pulled that football out from Charlie Brown all the time on that. So, but I do believe this team can go out to San Francisco and win that game. Will they? We'll see. But it's fun to sit here and talk about it instead of saying, all right, who are the top coaching candidates? And Washington's got, or the LA Rams are really going to have a nice draft pick. And who can you get at 35 in the draft next year? Calder Alm, good to see you. Apologies. Looking good out there on your screenshot. He says, morning Falcons fam. I haven't felt this good since being a kid for the 2016 Super Bowl. I didn't want to bring it up. Y'all could figure it out when I said this. When's the last time the Falcons looked this good against a team like this, like the Buffalo Bills and AFC Power for the first half of a game? When's the last time they did? Should have been 28-7, and the Falcons looked that good. They did. And this feels more sustainable. It really does. Like, we knew, yes, the Falcons, I mentioned 2023 and 2024. This feels more sustainable because they're not just relying on one player. Bijan's great, but Tyler could come in and do a job. The defense is absolutely legit, which should keep you from wetting the bed against some of those teams as long as, the offense doesn't reciprocate. Defense and a running game. When the Falcons start going 3 and outs, it usually starts with a penalty or a pass on first down. And I swear, 99% of offensive coordinators, if they pass on first down and it's incomplete, they run it on second down. You could almost set your watch by it because they are absolutely terrified of 3rd and 10. And they'd much rather have 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6. Zach Robinson hasn't really done that. I'm okay with that. I'm not necessarily saying that's wrong, but the Falcons, when they go 3 and out, it's because they go pass, and it's 3 and out, and that's when they run into trouble. The backbone of this team is running game defense. What usually goes with that, Calder, which is a little scary, special teams and good special teams. I saw the last time a team was number 1 in defense and number 1 in offense, or vice versa, but top 2 in both, and missed the playoffs was like 20 years ago because they were ranked 32 in special teams and they missed the playoffs. And the Falcons were ranked 32 in special teams going into last week. As far as the metrics go, between returns, covering returns, net punting, and kicking, they were 32nd. And the worst part of that is probably that they were 32nd again. It's not new. This defense is new to us. Jay, good to see you. He says, Felipe Franks is a beast. Good morning, y'all. The legendary Falcons, from now on, when we refer to Felipe Franks, he is Falcons legend, Felipe Franks. Moving forward, in 15 years, when we're sitting here and, God, how old am I going to be then? Maybe 5 years. We're going to be sitting here saying Felipe Franks, Falcons legend, and y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. I feel like that with Kadero Hodge. Kadero Hodge is a Falcons legend. I love that man. Stealth Model TV 23, glad you're here. Rise up, right back at you. Hope you're doing well. Michael Ranquillo is in the house as well. The sunrise out in Arizona. Matthews being out for next game is not bothering me. Call more slants and runs and we'll be just fine. And it's I don't know if it's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing to have the week to prepare. Sometimes just getting out of your head when Jarrell gets out there and he's thrown in there, you don't even have time to think about it. The old Bull Durham thing, don't think, mate, just throw, you're out there. But you hear the guys say all the time, you got to prepare as if you're going to play. You're one play away, especially in this game, even behind Jake Matthews, who's played 722 straight games without missing a snap. You still have to be ready to play. Xavier Littman, good to see you. Pamela, so glad you are here. Good morning, and everyone in the chat. Happy Wednesday. Always good with a Falcons win. Makes the week go faster on a Monday night win, that's for sure. Troy, how live are we? We're now 30 minutes into this, and Calder is the PFF. I'm not even saying PFF is a joke because they do some really good things. They really do. And we've leaned on their rankings. But again, I ran a national scouting service for scout.com. I was director of scouting. I did NFL and I did high school football recruiting. NFL I could kind of do on my own because you're talking about 300 or 400 players. College football recruiting, you absolutely cannot. So I had 5 regional managers. They had some guys that would submit state rankings to them. They would compile them into regional rankings and then submit them to me. And then it was my job to overall and take all of those rankings and turn them into one big list. Not everybody ranks the same. And it was my job as director of scouting to hunt out biases, to look, wait a minute, you might want to relook at this guy. It was my job. And I leaned on my guys heavily. They didn't always like where their guys ended up in the national rankings. And that happens. People do things differently, but then to try and blend them into one score, you can't do it if you've got this wild deviation of the Atlanta Falcons out there right now, which you do. The person grading the Atlanta Falcons is grading them way too harshly. And it screws up your metrics in there. You know, Jesse Bates has been a top 5 safety since he's been with the Atlanta Falcons. Where is Jesse Bates now? Let's see here. Good question. Where is Jesse Bates now? I bet he's 18th. Maybe. He may not even be that high. Xavier Watts was graded like with a 40 last week. So I know he fell. So safeties, Jesse Bates, 25. Xavier Watts, where the hell did Watts go? Can't even find Watts. 30th. So you want to tell me that the Falcons have the 25th and 30th best safeties in the NFL? Pair of average safeties, because there's 60 safeties. You know, there's 64 safeties that start. They've got 2 average safeties back there. You wanna try and convince me of that? I got the NFC Rookie of the Month and an All-Pro back there on the league's number 1 ranked defense, and you're going to tell me that you got average safeties? Come on. It's got, like I said, it's got to get fixed. It does. Keith, good to see you. I'll tell you what, Bijan Robinson is legit. Yeah, I am an emotional person, and I will speak in a lot of superlatives, talking like, try not to sound like Bill Walton, where anything he ever saw was the best. May he rest in peace. Was the best thing he ever saw. Top 5 I ever saw. You know, he hadn't played in 2 years. What are you talking about? But Bijan Robinson, literally for me, is the best open field make you miss guy since Barry Sanders. And Barry Sanders for me is the greatest running back that I got to watch in my 50 years of being on this earth, was Barry Sanders. And Bijan is in that class of making guys miss. He's just something different. Let's see. Primordial Reflection. Who is Sam Roberts? He got 50. Sam Roberts came in and he was elevated from the practice squad, defensive tackle, got a cup of coffee with the Panthers last year, I believe, was on their practice squad. And I think Patriots, did we say? And he was from the Northwest Missouri State legend. When we looked him up, he had almost as many snaps as Dorless. I think it was like 16-14. So I think they just wanted to get a little bigger against the Bills, and I think they'll want to get a little faster. I would expect Dorless's numbers to his snap counts to increase again this week against the 49ers. Just it was a different type of team against the Bills. Drew Gaynor, that feels like a new name. He says, excited for this team. This defense feels truly special this year. Yeah, they're on pace, and again, they're not as good right now, and the Falcons haven't faced everybody at full strength. They're not going to face the San Francisco 49ers at full strength either. So be it. Falcons aren't at full strength. They're playing with 2 third-string tackles, and all of a sudden they jumped up to number 2 in total yards. It's the NFL, just the way it is. But this is as good a defense as, brother, I can remember in a while. You got the question in the comments, when's the last time they could send 4 and sack a guy? And I'm like, well, I guarantee you Abraham was on the field. Vic Beasley when he was on his heater in 2016. And before that, it was the 98 defense was so good in 98 because they could send four. They could control the line of scrimmage with that front four. Who was it? Croy Bierman. It was maybe Chuck Smith was on that team. Who was the other? I can't remember who's the other. Travis Hall. The big Alaskan was him. And they had 30 sacks as a front four, playing a straight 4-3 and then moving into nickel and passing situations with a front four. They had 30 sacks in 1998. It's been a while, but if you can get pressure with four, you're a genius. All of a sudden, you become a genius on defense. Oh man, look at this scheme Vic Fangio is running. Man, what a difference he's making, brother. The front four are whipping guys. They're just chewing them up and spitting them out. If I can do that and drop 7 into coverage, I'm going to be a pretty good defensive coordinator. I tell you that. I'm not going to be worth a damn once I leave the Eagles, but I'm going to be really damn good with these guys up front. Joseph Smith from the beautiful Ocala, Florida says, good morning, Scott and Falcons Nation. That's all, y'all. Being a Falcons fan since 1966, I love observing those beautiful red helmets. Not everybody, there's a couple million Falcons fans. I'm sure there's 3 or 4 of y'all who don't like the red helmets, but you can't please everybody. The other 1.9 million of us prefer the red helmets. So looking really good. Oh, Ron Carter, he's down in Florida too. Dunlin, down in Florida. So North Florida. Ocala's kind of North Florida. I always I use Ocala as my reference as the end of the South. Actually, that's not true. Apopka is the end of the South. Apopka is a little bit farther south. After that, you've got Orlando and Disney. That's definitely not Southern. And then you get down into there and you get Cubano and Northeastern snowbirds who have moved down from New York and New Jersey. It's definitely not Southern once you get south of Orlando either. So you're holding up the line down there in Apopka, Ocala, in the south down there. Let's want to move down here and Justin says over on Facebook, I'm not going to show this, a little high. I feel like I have to look over, but Justin over on Facebook, I think our fan base has PTSD, but I also think this fan base cried entirely too much. Probably cries. A large percentage cries about Ulbrich getting hired, cried about Penix getting drafted, even cried about Bijan getting drafted. So now it's hard to believe it's working because they oppose everything so much. And there's a vocal, nobody's happy with everything, Justin. That's fairly typical, especially when you've had so little success. I was okay with Bijan. I understood. I would have taken Jalen Carter personally, but I understood the Bijan pick at the time. And how do you complain about it now? Good Lord. The running back position is cool again, for sure. I understood it. Of all the draft picks, the first round draft picks, the only one that I really, really, really opposed at the time was Kyle Pitts, just because it didn't make sense for me. The timing to take a pass catching tight end, the timing didn't make sense for where that team was. And God, if they could have had number 3 and gotten those picks from the 49ers and gotten 3 first round picks, that's what I wanted, brother. I wanted to trade down. They needed so many more players, but the next year was Drake. Drake was a good pick. The next year was Bijan. Bijan was a good pick. The next year it was Michael Penix. Getting a young quarterback in that class always made sense. Signing Kirk Cousins didn't make any sense if you were going to, if you wanted your quarterback, and you should have. Signing Kirk Cousins didn't make any sense. And you guys can, the 5 or 6 of you will defend everything Atlanta Falcons. Just save your keyboard pounding. You'll never convince me otherwise. That signing Kirk Cousins was a smart thing to do. Not ever. So don't try. And I won't try to convince you otherwise. So just save our breath. The old, let's just agree to disagree. You'll never convince me. I warn you, do not argue with people who have made their minds up. I don't do it. I'm not going to try and argue with people. It's a waste of my time to argue with people who have already made up their minds. My mind is made up on this, on the Kirk Cousins deal. And then this year, Jalen Walker, that's the first one in 5 years where we're doing a live show. We say Jalen Walker. Yes, take him now. At number 15 from the University of Georgia, Jalen Walker. And then they traded back in and to get James Pierce. And the initial reaction I had was the same one that, and it's all online, you can see it, was that the rest of the world had. Oh, they traded next year's number 1 and the number 2 to move up to 27. Oh, that's too much. Oh, they got a number 3 in return. Oh, never mind. Yeah, that's cool. I'm like, that's not that big a deal. And it was immediate. Y'all can go and watch it. Everybody else in the world has forgotten that they got the number 3 in return, who's turned into the NFC Defensive Player of the Month, and Xavier Watts. So, overall in the first round, I think they've done a pretty good job. Oblivion Empire, thanks for being a member. See that bird out there? Thanks for being a member. Oblivion Empire. Jason, good to see you. Justin follows up. He says, we need a wide receiver too. Absolutely. I mean, are you counting on Darnell Mooney at this point? If he's active, the first week he's active, no, I'm not. Get him out there, get him into game shape, 2 catches, 3 targets. Don't try and spam him 11 targets in his first game back. I think the Falcons tried to do that the first time. I think he had like 10 targets and led the team his first game back. Work him in slowly. And week 10, Falcons win a few games, beat the Dolphins, go into that Colts game with Darnell Mooney being a weapon again and a winning record with the last 7 games to go. That'd be nice. And then in the offseason, you need another wide receiver. You do. You need a wide receiver. You need another offensive tackle. You're expecting to get Caleb McGarry back next year, but he's running low on contract. He's getting older. Jake Matthews is definitely getting older. Offensive tackle. And I'm still looking at cornerback also. Let's see. We got Greg on the super chat as I'm moving my way down. I'm actually about 25 minutes behind on the comments, so apologies. But the overall, the how I frame this, can Atlanta Falcons keep the momentum going against the 49ers? We did hit on that, and some of the deja vu feelings from 23 and 24, where I recognize this feeling of excitement of this is it. They've turned the corner, and then they've fallen down. This is another one of those opportunities. And I feel like the Falcons, they're a much more complete team than they were in 23 with Desmond Ridder at quarterback. And even on defense, they're deeper on defense. They're deeper and more talented on defense. Maybe not more talented. That's still to be seen just because of the youth. Bud Dupree was a great professional. He really was. Calais Campbell, really good. Up front. But, as far as better, this is a better defense than what Ryan Nielsen had. It just absolutely is. And that should travel week to week. It should play on the road along with the running game. They need to take advantage of the momentum that they've got. And the 49ers can be beat, for sure, without a doubt. Bucks, Rays, Bolts, good to see you. Good morning, Scott. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are at the top of a lot of power rankings. We do one every week on SI. It comes out today on Wednesdays. Not sure why I know why we wait. But I put Tampa number 1. I think I put the Colts number 2. You look at this whole season feels so wide open right now. I don't know that you're going to get a 14-3 team or a 15-2 team this year. It's like, I put the Colts number 2. I put Tampa number 1. And what was Tampa? The first 4-1 team in history with a negative DVOA, but they know how to win. But you look at the teams. Philly, they've lost 2 in a row. Buffalo, they've lost 2 in a row. The Chiefs, well, the league didn't want them to be knocked out of the playoffs. The Broncos look solid. They're eked by the Jets. In the NFC, I mentioned the Eagles. Who's out west? The 49ers, Rams, Seattle, all good teams, but not world beaters. In the South, Tampa, they're number 1. Why not? It's there. I don't feel like there is this superpower this year where everybody is playing to beat them. Like, this is okay. Who's the team to beat? The NFC South might run through Tampa Bay, but the Super Bowl trophy is not running through Kansas City right now. That's not a for sure. It might, but it's not a for sure thing. And it's been a good couple of weeks in the NFC South. That's for sure. standing up. When the Falcons were off, the NFC South went 3-0. Did the Panthers win? They won because they moved to 3-3. So the Panthers won. I don't remember what the Saints did. I feel like the Saints won once. I don't think they've won twice. But and then the Bucs are playing great. And again, I do have a little Southern pride when it comes to this. And being that the NFC South, other than the Saints, those weren't the teams I grew up getting my brains beat in by as a young Falcons fan. Those were the 49ers and Rams. It was the NFC West. So I don't have a lot of animosity. And I've seen some people talk about it's one of those straw men. I don't know. It's like AV3N or something on X. He's like, you can hate me for this, but I don't hate Baker Mayfield. And all the comments without hesitation, all of them were like, I kind of like Baker too. He's likable. So they are likable. Jimmy Ragsdale, good to see you. Sorry I'm late. Still recovering from our win. The Bills did take over our stadium, but we showed up with our team, and that wasn't totally unexpected. How many of you know a Bills fan in Atlanta that has moved here from New York? I do. How many of you know 5 Jets and or Giants, more Mets, Yankees fans? Now, I know about 25 of them. It's a transient city, and when you've got one chance to see your team, you will pay $750 for a ticket, and you're hard-pressed not to sell them. I understand. I do. Those are going to be harder to get to sell, though, when the Falcons are winning. When you buy those seats, and because the games are so there's so few of them, with 8 home games, they do become, not once in a lifetime experiences, but they become, it becomes more like a college football culture that we're used to down here, where it's a thing. You set your life, and those tickets in the lower bowl will be filled with Falcons fans if they're winning, and or they start actually selling to Falcons fans instead of corporations. That's a whole other discussion. And Falcons, he says the Falcons should go higher in the power rankings. Nick likes to talk about it like this, and I agree with him. There's like tiers, and I'm not even sure there is a surefire. And this is no disrespect to the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are the number 1 team. I voted for the number 1, but I don't think of them. I feel the same way about college football right now. I don't think there's a tier 1 team out there right now. I look at the top 5 in the college football. I've watched them play. I'm like, that's what a top 5 team looks like right now. Oklahoma is a top 5 team. Who else was out there? Texas A&M. Texas A&M's a top 5 team. Really? I've watched them play against Auburn. They're not any good. Neither is anybody else. But, in the power rankings, I think, I got an email. We do the voting before Monday Night Football for some reason. So the Falcons were like at 23, and I got a text from the editor. It says, hey, where do you think the Falcons should be? I said, I think they should be somewhere between 15 to 17. I would put them ahead of the Commanders and the Vikings. I probably did. They beat both of those teams. I'd put them ahead of both of those teams. NFL.com, if you look in that, Philadelphia is at 6 at 4-2. The Rams at 7 and 4-2. They've got the Colts. They're not believers in the Colts. 8 at 5-1. The Chiefs at number 9. They're up 3 spots at 3-3. The Steelers are still 4-1 at 10. Broncos 4-2. They're 11. Okay, I'm okay with pretty much all those teams. Now here comes Washington at 12 at 3-3. Arguable. Jaden Daniels is back. Here goes a surprise team, the Jacksonville Jaguars at 4-2. All right, the Chargers 4-2. The 49ers 4-2. The Patriots 4-2. The Falcons 3-2. And then underneath that, it's the Chicago Bears at 3-2, the Vikings at 3-2, the Texans at 2-3. I feel like those 5, anywhere between 17 and 12, are fairly interchangeable. And again, at the end of the day, power rankings reflect, they don't predict. So keep winning, and it will be just fine. The Dixon Way, great to see you again, my friend. He says, Jalen Walker has been so good at sending an edge and pass rushing and run stuffing. I know fans are only looking at the sack numbers, but if you look at the reps and the shift that he's putting in, they are excellent. And he's getting more time out there. Let me see pro football. Let me see the snap counts. Pro football, because he was number 2 against the Commanders. Football Falcons 25. And if I look at this is the kind of stuff I do while Nick is talking, so apologies, but this is what happens when you go solo. My gut tells me that he is at worst number 2 on the edge. Snap counts, defense. It's always the defensive backs lead the way. So Jesse, AJ, Mike Hughes, Xavier Watts, Caden Ellis, and Divine Diablo didn't leave the field. D was, and D had a great game. D was next. And the edge with the most snaps was Jalen Walker. It was Jalen Walker. Good shout. It's a heavy rotation. He had 31. He played 54% of the snaps. Leonard Floyd was next at 53, and then James Pierce at 51. And Arnold Ebiketie dropped down to 24 snaps at 42%. And we all saw our guy out there for 2 snaps, who is not just thrilled for D'Angelo Malone to be out there on that final snap and get the interception out there. He is hung around working his ass off, late 3rd round pick. He's toolsy. It just hasn't really come together for him, but he has been a good Atlanta Falcon for 4 years now. He's been a good Falcon. How happy were you for him to see that? And D, the guys that out there that have suffered through some stuff and through some adversity and get to see success, those are my favorite types of players, man. I really are. Nito. That makes sense. Do you think they'll go after a wide receiver before the deadline? I think they might talk about Darnell Mooney getting healthy and saying, this is as good as a new signing. And frankly, it would be. Ray McLeod, I'm not sure what's going on there other than a competition thing. One of the things I have heard is that he was a big favorite of Ike Hilliard. So he may have popped off. I don't know, but he was not dressed. It was a healthy scratch. And it's okay to have a little fight and animosity in there. Healthy animosity. But Falcons wide receivers 2 and 3 have been MIA this year when it comes to compared to last year. We talked at the beginning of the season. Everybody can't have the Falcons offense is elevated. It's up to number 2 in total offense. It has elevated like we thought it would, thought it could, it would. But not everybody can have a career year who comes down. Mooney, and right now it's without question, it's Mooney and Ray. They need another wide receiver. I just don't know if they'll be able to pull it off. If they can get Mooney and Ray, who could they get that would be better than a healthy Mooney? Nobody. They couldn't. So they got to get Mooney healthy, and then we'll see what they do from there. And Casey Washington's okay for me as a wide receiver 3 because, frankly, he'd be a wide receiver 4 with Kyle Pitts being a wide receiver 2. Going out there and doing the dirty work, and I don't like you trying to force the ball to him. But if he's uncovered because you've schemed up a nice play and he's your 3rd read, he can do a job because he's blocking his ass off out there. He absolutely gets the assist on Bijan Robinson's long run. 99 is Sam Roberts. That was who we were talking about before. And Jaron Hall was the guy I couldn't remember the name of, Corey, for the Vikings. That's how far behind I am on the chat. Apologies. Going on this. So I'm actually going to I'm going to say hello to some members out here. Thank you for being members, Marcus. And then I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and kind of work my way back up because we are just about finished. I'm going to have to get on the road again, put more miles in my car this week than I have in the last 6 months. Sorry I'm late, but what a big time win. The Benz was rocking Monday night. And you can feel it. It's like 20% of opposing fans feels like a lot. 25%, even 30% feels like a lot. We've seen it for years with Saints and Falcons. They travel well. There's a lot of Falcons fans there. And it sounds like a lot, especially early, until the home team gives you a chance to be loud. And then you realize, oh, yeah, this still is a home game. You could hear it on the broadcast. And Marcus, I'm glad you could feel it in person because you showed up and showed out. That's another reason why I don't go to games. I'm an old impatient, and I don't like the big crowds. I don't like waiting in lines. I don't like spending all that money when I watch it on TV. And I know that. I want someone like you in my seat. I want you there in my seat raising hell and making a difference for the home crowd, for the home field advantage. I don't want, an old dude like me sitting there watching the game, studying quietly, with my head in my hands, picking out formations. I can do that from home. I want you there raising hell. And Falcons fans, you did a great job. Carrie, great to see you too. So I'm glad I didn't skip all the way to the bottom. I'm just late saying some of my hellos. Hi, Scott. Hope you are doing well. I am doing well. Thank you for asking. Huge win on Monday Night Football for our Falcons. That first half was incredible on both sides, offense and defense. It really was. The adjustments made, you can see teams, they come out there and script a play and come out there and throw a big hook. I used to be a huge boxing fan. Throw out a big hook. Well, the Bills came right back. They took it and threw one of their own. And lesser teams, when they come out and try and bully and they get bullied back, they don't respond. Falcons responded. Like I said, the Bills went right down and scored. That could have been an uh-oh moment, taking we went down and scored so easy. Oh, they're here for a fight too. And the Falcons were there for the fight from 0 to 60, from the first snap of the game until the end. So, and they absolutely did. It really was a good win. And Marie says, and I know what you mean as far as, he says the Falcons got to win a Super Bowl to get respect. I know what you mean there, and they were respected as an FC power, in the 2010s. I think you're probably right on this. There's teams like the Miami Dolphins that have not won a Super Bowl but get a lot of hype quickly, and I think, why is that? And I'm answering this in my head. I'm like, well, part of it is because they play in the NFC East. The AFC East, apologies, against some of those huge market teams like the Jets, like Boston and the Patriots and the Bills. And they have won a Super Bowl. They just haven't won it since, I think, the day I was born. I think they were undefeated in 72, and the Super Bowl was in 73. Well, I was born January 3rd, 1973. So I think they won the Super Bowl like the day after I was born. So you're right on this. Apologies to the Miami Dolphins. It's been a while. But you start thinking of teams that, so many teams have won a Super Bowl that, that get the hype. It's like, who doesn't really get taken seriously? Even a lot of it has to do with market size. The Falcons are not a big NFL market. They're just not. So I think you're right to say that. I think you're right. And Michael, we follow on this. Do we need wide receiver help? Yes. Still need wide receiver help. Too much Drake. Who is option 2? A healthy option 2. Option 2 is Kyle Pitts. Option 1 is Bijan Robinson. Option 2 is in the passing game. The first 2 options are Bijan Robinson and Drake London. Option 3 is Kyle Pitts. But you definitely need an option, a wide receiver option that is coming out from wide, coming out from the slot, that is used to being a wide receiver that can move the ball downfield, push the ball downfield like Darnell. Any word on Jake Matthews' status? We had the story on Falcons SI. I didn't read it in the car. The tease headlines. Falcons remain hopeful. Yeah, it doesn't say a whole lot, does it? What did he say exactly? I feel really positive about him after what happened. Morris said Matthews is considered day-to-day with his ankle injury. Okay, that's the update. Day-to-day on Jake Matthews. Oh, I would love to see him back out there again. He's a rock. I truly feel like him and Drake are the most irreplaceable players on this team. 9 times out of 10, it's your quarterback, but I feel like Kirk Cousins is a good backup. If I had to play a game without Michael Penix or without Jake Matthews, I'd rather have Kirk Cousins take snaps than Jarrell. It's just the way I feel about it. Would I rather play a game without Bijan Robinson or Drake London right now? I'd hand the ball 40 times if I needed to Tyler Algier and play that game rather than the 16 targets that went to Drake London going to someone else. That's how I feel. I feel like Drake and Jake, didn't mean to do that, are the 2 most irreplaceable players on this team. I'm going to scroll down. I want to say hello to some folks that have come in just before I get out of here. That's a good old-fashioned aloha means goodbye. As I was going down, I did see some of our great members become a member. The links in the description and pretty much anywhere on YouTube. It really helps us out, keeps these lights on, keeps my forehead nice and shiny. And Caleb talking about, yes, I want guys like you, Caleb, in my seats. Definitely lost my voice at the game Monday night. You know, when I was in my 20s, I would yell until my eyeballs would pop blood vessels. I'm not that guy anymore. I'm much more reserved. I'm calmer. I don't want calmer in the seats. I want you in the seats, my friend. So go out there. Quick shout out also. Let me see. I've got the wrong X account up. I've got my Falcons accounts up. Quick shout out to Michael Quintana. Michael Quintana is a listener to the Falcons podcast. He's visiting his best friend since 5th grade in South Carolina. And he lives in Oklahoma, so he drove over. On the way over, he got a chance to go to the Falcons game, which is a lifelong dream for him. And he wasn't sure he was going to be able to because, frankly, a big AFC, a Monday night game, the tickets were friggin' expensive. And I was like, dude, sorry, I don't have any ticket hookups for you. Otherwise, I absolutely would. But Michael ended up going to the game, and his reaction was, I see why they're expensive because the experience is freaking awesome. And relatively speaking, compared to other NFL cities, the Falcons really aren't that expensive. They're one of the more affordable tickets. It's just that the NFL on the whole is so expensive. And this market has so many other options for their entertainment dollar that they don't always support overly expensive tickets. That's why hockey failed here several times. They're going to try it again, though. It sounds like up and coming, you know, what the coming cadets. Too many jokes there for NHL and coming Georgia. Coach Mike, what's Chris Blair got to do to get his opportunity? I don't know. Played well in the preseason. So did Dylan Drummond. But I think he's a little behind David Sills right now. We saw David out there. I think they trust him a little bit more blocking and for special teams. That might be the difference right now. And Casey Washington, I saw a wide receiver 4 out there and not a guy who like, oh, well, he should be getting more opportunities. There were some tough catches that he didn't make, at least one. I won't say catches, but there was a play in there that he didn't make. Then I'm like, all right, that's the kind of play you got to make if you're going to be an NFL receiver. And he'd tell you the same thing. I got to make that catch. So, and some of that can come if Mooney and McLeod aren't playing. He will get more opportunities to make those plays. But it's hard. You see guys that aren't playing very well. And all of a sudden, the backup gets in, and he's not quite ready. He's not quite up to game speed, and he makes a mistake. And they're like, see, that's why he's not playing. Like, but the guy who's been playing for 10 weeks ahead of him has been doing the same stuff. You know, so I'm hoping for Casey right now ahead of Chris Blair. I'm hoping Casey makes that catch over the middle in traffic that hits him in the hands the next time out, and he gets another chance to take advantage of that opportunity. Chris, good to see you as well. Hope you are doing well. One of the OGs, he says, hello to everyone. Happy hump day. Love the big win at home on Monday night against Buffalo. Glad the team didn't quit. No, they kept fighting for sure. Let me see. John M., good to see you. He says, Scott, we need another receiver or Mooney back. All we have is London. He's great. Pennick's got to distribute the ball better. Yeah, right now it feels Pitts should have been a bigger part of this. I'm not sure how he got taken out of the game so easily, but right now it was Drake or Bijan in that game. And that was enough, but I think Nick made a good talking about the Miami Heat and their 3 big players. It was like LeBron, Bosh, and Dwayne. And right now, Kyle Pitts is Bosh. Bosh could get his turns. He's the Kyle Pitts of that group, but he's behind Dwayne Wade and LeBron James. So I think that is a Pitts right now coming out of the game. If you're asking me who needs to see the ball more, Kyle Pitts, and then again a healthy Mooney definitely makes a difference. Bucks, who's more? I'm not sure what you're asking your Bucks Rays Bolts. Who more, Scott? Who more NFC South? Who dat? Is this New Orleans speak here? Who dat? Who dat more NFC South? We dat more NFC South. Larry, this is the same question. Why hasn't Nick Nash got a chance? Guys, It's hard. We said it before. These guys are looking good in the preseason, but there's, 3 wide receivers that get snaps in games, is pretty much it. And a lot of the times, one of them is Kyle Pitts. So you're talking Drake London and Casey Washington, Kyle Pitts, Charlie Warner. That's your 4. That's your 4 guys out there that are your receivers. So it's tough. It absolutely is tough out there. Let me see here. And JB says, I think Pitts needs to force it or I think Penix needs to force it to Pitts a little more, scheme him up. And then they did on the end zone, but Buffalo snuffed it out. That they did that in the, I said end zone, in the red zone. There's a play action, backside to the right. Pitts is leaking out to the right side. They scored a touchdown like that against the Commanders. Buffalo sniffed that one out and was able to break the pass out, but that is only one time. And again, force is probably not the right word. That's why I changed it up, Corey. So I don't think Penix needs to force it at all. I said scheme him up as far as, what can you do? And again, they did on a screenplay. You're right. On the one catch Pitts had, he fell over his own feet. That's what we're talking about, is scheming up plays for Kyle Pitts. Can that be done? If I'm getting 30 touches to the running backs and 10 touches to Drake for 40 touches, how many plays am I running? 55, maybe 60. First downs will help a lot on that too. Less 3 and outs, more first downs means more touches for everybody. Corey says, don't miss my super. I absolutely miss your super because it didn't show up for me. Was it at the very beginning, Corey? Because it's not showing up for me. And I'm glad you reminded me, and I'm glad I'm down here. But I don't see your super chat. They may have missed it. YouTube may have missed it. The only one I've got starred on here and that I've seen is from Greg, was from Greg on here. So, just type it back in. You're an OG. I'd be happy to read what you have to say before we get out of here. John M says the blank defense. That's I think John Gruden, is he the one that has started that up? The blank defense. And Corey, let me look on the back end on YouTube real quick, see if I can find it. See if YouTube has picked it out. Because there's several ways it shows up. Supers. Yeah, the only one that has gone through. So you haven't gotten charged for it. And that's okay. Corey, just type in what you got to say, brother. Appreciate the support and I appreciate the effort to try and become a member. The only one I have is from Greg. So you haven't gotten charged for a super chat on that. And I think it was John Gruden was calling. God, we're at 110 already. Guys, I could talk Falcons with you forever. We could keep going on this for a long time. John Gruden calling Bijan and Tyler the Atlanta Rhythm section. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Thunder and lightning gets overused. It's like, okay, guys, let's come up with something new. The Atlanta Rhythm section. Does that mean is Tyler the bass and Bijan's the violin? The string section out there. That's really good. The Brick Squad. I like that too. The Brick Squad. It's nice to have some of these nicknames. Sammy says, you like burgers. Sheila sees in Auburn is really good. I'm actually a vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian for about 10 years. People don't really know it. I'm like, if I don't push it on you and force you to be I'm the only vegetarian in my house, including all the 4 pets we have. Am I a true vegetarian if I don't make you try to become a vegetarian? I did it for health reasons. My cholesterol was pumping motor oil or something. And then I just kept on. I'm like, you know what? I like food. Just give me a big plate of something and I'll eat it. And I'm an unbelievable animal lover. So I'd considered it for a long time, but I'm actually a vegetarian, but I haven't picked a place. I'm taking, y'all know I've got the Auburn site too. I've got Falcons and Auburn and Braves. And taking my guys out to lunch. I haven't picked and like Harry said, hopefully you don't have a cat. They're strict carnivores. No, like I said, I'm the only vegetarian in my house. I have 2 cats. My kids aren't vegetarians. My wife's not a vegetarian. It's just me. I make choices for me. And if you have questions, I will tell you, but I do not push my views other than these. And this is to talk about, I'll push my sports views on you. But as far as my lifestyle views, I do not do not do that. Terry says, who's the next Auburn coach? That's a good question. Freeze is kind of Hugh Freeze is the first coach in 50 years to get a third season after 2 losing seasons, and that ain't happening. That ain't happening again. Trenton is my favorite podcast hobby, literally favorite hobby. Is this podcast. Great to have you. What happened to Trenton? You had a little bird right there before. Where'd he go? What happened to the bird? I know you were a member. What happened? And then John M says, fight on. USC, that's a long way from here. I had a good time out in California with USC on that one. Probably something with my card. Yeah, no problem, Trenton. I'm just giving you heck. Unless I'm kind of hanging out to see if Corey. Oh, here we go. Corey did put it back in there. Was just saying that Bijan doesn't seem to lose speed in and out of his cuts due to his feet and body control. Those guys are few and far between. I call them, Corey, when I was scouting football players like that out of high school, I'd call them downhill skiers. They look like they are downhill skiing, where they turn and they're getting faster while they're turning. The way gravity helps you, like that, going downhill on a ski slope, you can actually keep going faster even though you are turning because of the gravity. There are very, very few guys like that. Bijan is one of those guys. The two that come to mind, old school for me from scouting football players, that I saw that. And one of the things they have in common is their feet always seem to come up high behind them. Like they've got this really good body lean. The guy that basically broke the internet to start, how many of y'all remember Noel Devine? He ended up at West Virginia. He was from down. I met somebody. He's down working still in Fort Myers because I met somebody that trains with him while I was on my travels with baseball. And Noel's down there traveling. He came out of a rough area down there. So I was really happy to hear how well he was doing. But Noel Devine, before YouTube, his highlights would hit, and you can find them. It looks like Bugs Bunny and the Roadrunner out there. It's just unbelievable. Noel was one of those guys. The next guy I saw like that, the Black Mamba, he went to Crenshaw High School, and he went to Oregon, D'Anthony Thomas. And he should have been a corner. He was undersized. He was probably 5'8", 165 pounds, and he ran like that too, where he would accelerate out of cuts. He should have been a cornerback. He went to Oregon, and they made him an offensive player, which probably made sense at Oregon. But for his size, I would have loved to see him at corner. And one of my favorite things was watching D'Anthony show up because the guy was a legend. This is really before everything could go so viral. As far as, Instagram didn't exist and everything. And it was just kind of, a lot of it's word of mouth. One of my favorite things was to see him show up to camps and see him show up to 7-on-7s, and coaches that I knew would come up to me. They'd see him. This little 5'8", 160-pound nothing kid walks up in his cornrows, unassuming, quiet as can be. And my coach's friends, they'd look at me and they'd be like, that's it? That's him? Like, just wait, just give it a second. By the end of the day, they'd come up and they'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, I got it. I got it. So Bijan is like that as well. They're just different. Again, I can think of 3 guys that you watch move like that, and they're just different. And you have to scout it. You can't do everything by analytics. You have to see it. And we talk about things you can't measure. Oh, well, Bijan's, 5'10", 215 pounds, runs a 4.40. Okay, that tells part of the story. There's a lot of guys like that. It doesn't tell the story of his vision, of his balance, of his instincts, of his patience, his ability to set up blocks, how he can set up opposing tacklers and break through arm tackles. That you just have to see. You just have to see. It was D'Anthony Thomas out of Crenshaw. He was so good. He's 160-pound kid, is one of the best two-way players I ever watched in high school. He was just fun. Great high school football player, and he was a legend. He made it to the NFL. I think he was doing some returns and stuff. I think he was doing some returns, but he should have been a corner based on his size. at the time, because this is 10, 15 years ago. He might have been able to be a slot receiver now, but he would have been a corner and been really good. All right, y'all, we're an hour and 15 into this. My throat's starting to give out on this. And I appreciate y'all being here. Corey, thanks for chiming back in. And thanks for all y'all for the members that we've got. And hopefully we got some new members. I know we picked up 3 last week, and y'all give it a shot. Become a member, help support the podcast. John, thank you for the support. Carrie, 10 Cam, Shrey feels like a newer name. No, that's not a newer name. I recognize that face. That's a good looking kid. I recognize that face. Remember, Larry says he remembers Noel Devine. Him and D'Anthony, the Black Mamba, they were absolutely different. And the difference was there was another guy out there in California. He gave himself the nickname, the Black Mamba. D'Anthony Thomas did not. I actually think, who ran youth football out there in Crenshaw and Compton back then? Snoop Dogg. I think Snoop Dogg named him the Black Mamba, which is actually kind of cool. On that note, Stephen B., you're right. Scott doesn't have a workhorse throat to handle the load alone. I don't talk enough. This is the only time I talk is to talk with y'all. And Deontay Wade, thank you for becoming a new member, my friend. It certainly helps. It helps keep, like I said, helps keep the lights on. And God, when I used to do TV, my throat, we'd be live. And, it's different here with y'all. This is a little bit more informal, but I'd be doing high school football shows live. Might hear the producer, the director getting annoyed. Somebody get Scott some water. Yeah, I should probably just hand that bottle in my pocket. So we're getting out of here. And yeah, Maurice, workhorse throat is diabolical. It's the dirtiest thing we said on the show. We're gonna get flagged by Facebook, aren't we? We're getting out of here. I appreciate y'all being here. And I'm going to go down to Auburn today, and I'll be back. I'm going to be all over the place on Saturday and Sunday. I don't think we'll be able to do a gut reaction on Sunday night for the game, but we'll be here Monday morning. Make sure you're checking out Garrett. He's doing some really good work on Tuesdays and Thursdays. His viewership was a little lower last night. Give him a shot. Give him a chance. Make sure you got those notifications on. And when he comes back on, give him a watch at 6:00 or after for your drive time. Thanks everybody for being here. Thanks Deontay for becoming a new member. Thanks for the super chat from Greg. And man, let's enjoy this while it lasts. This is a whole lot more fun than talking about the bad stuff. Another week. Let's enjoy this and let's hit it next week. Falcons go out, take care of business in San Francisco, turn to the Dolphins. And again, NFL Network says the season trajectory has changed for the Atlanta Falcons. Now it's up to them to turn that prophecy into reality. Y'all have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next time.